Divorced mom discovers amazing strength after moving to a rusted bus with her daughter revealed. The journey of redemption and resilience. Sarah stood in front of the old, rusted school bus, her heart racing like a drum. This was home now, she thought. Leaves crunched under her feet, the crunch echoing in the quiet of Maplewood, a place where traditions loomed large and the weight of judgment felt heavier than ever. The whispers had already started. "Did you see her?" they would say, shaking heads over cups of coffee at the cafe. "Living in a bus. What a shame." But for Sarah, this was not just a desperate choice, it was a new beginning. Her mind raced back to the moments leading up to this. The job at the diner had been lost, the very job that fueled her spirit and provided for Lily. As anxiety churned in her stomach, she hugged her daughter close, staring at the faded yellow paint flaking off the bus. This was their chance to reclaim something, the independence of living on their terms, even if it meant starting from scratch in a twisted metal shell. It was cramped inside, the smell of mold mixing with old memories. But as they set up makeshift beds between the seats and hung fairy lights for warmth, Sarah noticed the spark in Lily's eyes. It was as if the adventure of it all ignited a spirit long dormant. They shared stories, laughter, and even baked beans over a tiny camp stove, a little family ritual in their rusty sanctuary. "We can do this, Mom," Lily said. Her words filled the bus with hope, a small fire against the cold world outside. Every morning, Sarah awoke with a tight chest, the pressure to provide pulling her down. She shuffled off to her odd jobs, scrubbing floors and stocking shelves late into the night, while the school bus creaked in the distance. Exhaustion washed over her like a heavy blanket, yet she pushed through, reminding Lily of the importance of grit and perseverance. They were surviving, thriving in their own wild way, yet Lily's eyes began to dim each day, the burden of being the girl who lives in a bus trailing her like a shadow. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The town grew restless as the economy stumbled, people whispered in tight clusters at the grocery store, tensions rising with every defeated voice. Sarah felt the tightening grip of community scrutiny as she attended town meetings, her heart thumping with a mix of indignation and vulnerability. Some raised their hands to help, while others turned away, eyes flitting toward the floor like fallen leaves. Acceptance felt far away, a distant ship on an unkind sea, but at the festival, amidst ribbons of celebration and songs of old, Sarah saw a shimmer of possibility. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her voice breaking the barrier of judgment. "We all have our battles, don't we? I may live in a bus, but I'm proud of my family." The crowd hesitated, a new tension crackling in the atmosphere. Hope flickered as she poured her heart out, but would they see? Would they finally recognize their shared humanity? The question hung in the air, heavy yet electric, as Sarah reached for Lily's hand, ready to face whatever came next. As Sarah's words echoed through the festival, a hush fell over the crowd. Faces stiffened, brows furrowed with uncertainty. She could feel the pulses of judgment thrumming, but somewhere beneath that layer of doubt lay curiosity, a flicker of something new. Lily squeezed her hand tighter, an unspoken bond reaffirming their shared journey. Sarah held her breath, searching the faces before her. There were familiar ones, neighbors who knew her well, and others who barely glanced her way. Then, a voice from the back called out. "What's wrong with living in a bus?" It was Mrs. Jenkins, the retired teacher whose kindness had once nurtured many children in Maplewood. The ripple of surprise danced across the crowd. "Yeah. It's not what you have, but what you make of it," shouted a young man, his arms raised in solidarity. His enthusiasm broke some tension, and a few heads nodded, though many remained skeptical. With a growing sense of boldness, Sarah looked for the courage within herself. "I've struggled, yes. But every day in that bus, my daughter and I laugh, we dream. Isn't that what life is about? A murmur ran through the crowd. Some shifted uncomfortably, others leaned in closer. A few brave souls approached her, breaking the invisible walls of isolation. I've had hard times too, said a woman from the bakery, her eyes misting with shared experience. You're not alone, Sarah. One by one, voices rose from the crowd, each one revealing a piece of their own stories, tales of struggles and resilience. As Sarah listened, she felt a warmth blooming in her chest, the weight of their shared humanity lifting the heaviness she had carried so long, but then came a different voice, sharp-edged and cold. It was Greg, the town mayor, who looked down his nose, arms folded. You think living in a rusted bus makes you special? That he hesitated, looking around at the gathering crowd, then clarified, that you should be held higher than the rest of us? The air shifted, and whispers began anew, laden with doubt. Sarah's heart sank, her courage trembling at the edge of potential rejection. She was about to respond, unsure of finding the right words, when a sudden surge of energy erupted from Lily. Mom is strong. She has been so brave. You don't even know. Lily's voice rang out, clear and unwavering, catching every eye. The innocence of a child cut through the noise, drawing attention back to Sarah. Brave. Sarah echoed softly, savoring the sound. She glanced at her daughter, whose eyes were bright, filled with the kind of hope that could light up the darkest corners. In that moment, she realized it wasn't just about what she had lost. It was about laying the foundation for something new. With grit, and love, and laughter, Lily and I are making a life that matters, Sarah continued, drawing strength from her daughter. We may not fit into your traditions, but we matter. Our journey matters. As a few tentative claps started and spread through the crowd, Sarah felt a shift, a sliver of acceptance creeping in. Heads turned toward one another, and conversation sparked, weaving connections that had been frayed by fear and misunderstanding, but as hope filled the air, Sarah's heart raced again. Could this shift lead to something deeper? Was acceptance just a whispered promise away, or a tapestry of challenges still to be faced? She looked up, scanning the crowd, seeking the strength she had witnessed in their shared stories. This moment felt fragile yet powerful, the beginning of so much more. And just as she started to believe in that possibility, Greg stepped forward again, a glint of determination in his eye. What will you do if the town doesn't come around? He challenged, and a hush fell over the crowd once again. Sarah drew a breath, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. The answer hovered just above her lips, a question of what strength truly means and where her journey might lead next. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat. The challenge hung in the air like water droplets ready to burst into rain. Greg's gaze bored into her, a mix of skepticism and control. She felt her heart pound, every beat amplifying doubt, yet mingled in there was a flicker of courage. Everyone was watching, some heads slightly tilted, waiting. She could almost hear their thoughts, would she crumple, or would she rise? The whispers began to fade as a shared breath filled the crowd. What if they don't accept us? Sarah echoed Greg's question, but this time, she spoke with fire. She turned her body towards him, her shoulders squared, strength threading its way through her. I cannot control how others feel, but I can control how I respond. Life is too short to hide. How can I teach Lily to embrace herself if I keep myself small? Every day, we create our own happiness, our own memories. It's not about fitting in. It's about finding our place out in the world. A low murmur of agreement rippled through the gathering. The bakery woman raised her hand, her eyes bright. She's right. We need to embrace those struggling with life, not shun them. Our roots run deeper than we think. In that moment, Sarah felt the warmth of the sun breaking through clouds. With each word shared, she could almost feel the walls of judgment crumbling. Could it be that voices of solidarity could drown out the doubts? More murmurs of agreement followed, and she saw heads nodding in rhythm with her heart, a testament of unity starting to bloom. What if a man ventured from the back, his voice uncertain yet curious? What if we learn from her? She's living a life we haven't dared to explore. The crowd began to shift, a wave of empathy washing over them. Sarah's heart soared. For the first time, it felt like they could rewrite this narrative together. With renewed passion, Sarah called out, "I'm not asking for pity. I'm inviting you all to understand that it's okay to be different. It's okay to struggle. We all have a story. Our bus may be rusted, but it's still our home, filled with love, laughter, and dreams." Cheering erupted from the crowd, lifted voices harmonizing as if they were finally finding their collective song. Lily beamed up at her mother, her pride palpable. Then, out of the excitement, Greg took a step back, his demeanor shifting. The challenge now lay in his silence, uncharacteristically contemplating. He was no longer the adversary, could he be an ally instead? Yet, as Sarah drank in the moment, she felt a tug at her heart. With acceptance, there came a cost. What if they didn't rally behind her? What if the support was fleeting? The doubts re-emerged like shadows creeping back into the light. The crowd began to dissipate slowly, conversations still buzzing with energy, yet questions lingered in her mind. She had taken a step forward, but could she keep it going? There was a whole town to reach, and winning over Greg was just a part of a much larger battle. "Mom, do you think everything's going to be okay?" Lily's voice broke through her thoughts, as pure and clear as a bell. "I hope so, sweetheart," Sarah replied, her voice steady yet unsure. "But what I do know is that we must keep fighting for our place in this world." With their spirits high, they gathered their things, ready to leave the festival. Yet, in the back of her mind, Sarah felt the weight of unanswered questions looming like the clouds above them. As they turned towards home, a new realization dawned on Sarah. Was this the moment they both found their strength, or merely the first step in an uncharted journey? With every step, the horizon stretched far and wide, beckoning them forward with both promise and uncertainty. And just as Sarah was feeling a semblance of hope, Lily tugged at her hand again, eyes wide and questioning, "What if we face something unexpected tomorrow?" Sarah took a breath, a mix of apprehension and excitement coursing through her. The future beckoned. Would it bring them together, or pull them apart? As they made their way home, the crisp evening air filled with the scent of fresh wood smoke and the distant chatter of late-night festival diners. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, but the beauty of it all couldn't mask the anxiety coiling in the pit of Sarah's stomach. Lily skipped ahead, her laughter dancing on the wind. She was carefree, untouched by the shadows looming around her mother. Sarah couldn't help but smile at her daughter's joy, yet the weight of uncertainty pressed against her. The festival had been a spark of hope, but could it ignite lasting change? "Hey, can you help me with these, Mom?" Lily called out, her tiny arms struggling with a couple of the homemade crafts they'd picked up. "Of course." Sarah hurried to catch up, adjusting Lily's load. As she took the colorful paper flowers, she couldn't help but admire the care Lily put into choosing them. Each flower was vibrant, like a burst of optimism in her daughter's heart. "What's your favorite?" Lily asked, enthusiasm bubbling over as she pointed to the bright blue daisy. "I think the yellow one suits you best, Sunshine," Sarah said softly, ruffling Lily's hair. "I like that one too." Lily giggled, and Sarah felt a swell of pride. This moment felt almost perfect, yet shadows of doubt crept back in. They walked past the familiar streets, each corner a reminder of challenges faced, but now those corners seemed different, the possibilities unfolding. Arriving at the rusted bus, Sarah dropped their things inside and plopped down on the worn bench. She took a moment to collect herself, glancing at the blankets strewn about and the pictures pinned to the boards. Each item told a story, they were testaments to resilience. But did she have enough of it? Lily rushed to her side, eyes bright with curiosity. "What did you think about what you said today, Mom?" Sarah hesitated. "I think it felt good to finally speak out, but now I'm just worried." Worried about what? Worried that people will forget what we said. Or that it won't make a difference, but you spoke from your heart, Lily insisted, her small hand clasping Sarah's. And that matters, right? Sarah stared into her daughter's eyes, those pools of innocence and belief. How could someone so young understand such complex feelings? Yet in that moment, she found clarity. You're right, Lily. It does matter. But what if Greg isn't on our side? Lily asked, tugging at Sarah's sleeve anxiously. Then we'll figure it out together. We always do. Feeling the warmth radiating from her daughter, Sarah knew this journey wouldn't be about acceptance from everyone. It had to be about accepting themselves. Just then, the night air shifted. A chill rattled through the trees. Sarah looked toward the horizon. Dark clouds had begun gathering ominously. Let us finish up inside, she said, trying to keep the concern from her voice. Once in the bus, as they lit a small lantern, its gentle glow pushed back the encroaching shadows. They settled together on the bench, threading their fingers, a quiet strength radiating between them. What if tomorrow doesn't bring what we hope? Lily spoke, uncertainty creeping back into her voice. That's okay, Sarah reassured, drawing her daughter closer. We'll face whatever comes together. But let us just promise to always speak our truth, no matter what. In that moment, a clap of thunder rumbled in the distance, startling them. It seemed to echo the tension in Sarah's heart. The sky darkened, signaling a storm approaching. But what she didn't expect was how much she stood to gain from the storm and how it might change everything they thought they knew. Tomorrow may bring thunder, but we are not afraid, are we? She smiled, trying to embolden the mood. Lily shook her head, a spark of bravery igniting in her. Nope. As they shared a laugh, Sarah couldn't silence the nagging feeling that something was brewing, not just in the weather but also in the hearts of everyone they met. Would tomorrow be the test of their resolve? With a sudden gust, the wind swirled around them, howling a warning. What would this storm reveal? As Sarah turned to watch the approaching dark clouds, she realized they might not be ready for what awaited them next. The night stretched on, curtains drawn tight around the bus, but the rumbling in the distance kept them awake. A candle flickered on the worn table, casting dancing shadows against the walls, and Sarah found herself lost in thought. The storm outside mirrored the whirlwind inside her, uncertainty, fear, but also a spark of determination. Mom Lily's voice broke the silence. What do you think is inside the clouds? They probably hold rain and thunder, Sarah replied, but the question lingered. What else could be hidden? Do you think they sometimes bring good things too? Lily asked, her wide eyes searching her mother's face for answers. Oh, absolutely, Sarah said, mustering a grin. Sometimes storms wash everything clean, and then the sun can shine brighter than before. Lily leaned back, seemingly satisfied by this notion. In her innocence, she held on to hope like it was a warm blanket. Sarah, however, wrestled with the weight of reality. Tomorrow would not just be a new day, it would be a pivotal point, a chance to confront their fears and maybe light a spark in others. A sharp crack of lightning caught them both off guard, painting the inside of the bus in stark white. Lily squealed, then dissolved into giggles, showing the kind of resilience her mother admired so deeply. See? Even the thunder is laughing, Sarah chuckled, her heart swelling with love. But deep down, she questioned how strong the foundation beneath them truly was. Their little home, with its rusty panels and fragile walls, felt like a fortress one storm away from collapse. Mom, do you think if we let our voices be heard, people will listen? Lily asked, her small brow furrowing in thought. I hope so, baby. Sarah paused. It's scary, though. What if they don't? They should. Lily insisted, crossing her arms defiantly. You have the best ideas. A rush of warmth enveloped Sarah at her daughter's words. At that moment, she realized Lily was right. They couldn't control how people reacted, but they could control their resolve. Facing the storm head-on, armed with truth and the kind of love that pushed boundaries, wasn't he that enough to encourage others to do the same? As thunder rolled again, shaking the bus gently, Sarah took a deep breath, summoning her courage. "Let us make a promise, Lily. No matter what happens tomorrow, we will stay true to ourselves. Even if it's hard." "Forever and ever," Lily said, her eyes shining bright, sealing their promise with enthusiasm. By the time they settled again, a gentle rain began to fall outside, the patter soothing in its steadiness. "Can I tell you a secret?" Sarah whispered as she tucked Lily into a snug blanket. "Sure. What is it?" Lily beamed up at her, curiosity bubbling. "I'm scared," Sarah admitted. "Tomorrow feels heavy." "Me too, a little," Lily confessed, her lips turning down slightly. "But we have each other, right?" "Right," Sarah replied, wrapping her arms around her daughter. "We'll figure it out together. Don't you want to be brave like the thunder?" Lily teased playfully. Sarah chuckled lightly. "Brave, yes, I want that." The rain began to drown out the external chaos, soothing Sarah's racing thoughts. In that moment, she understood that bravery wasn't the absence of fear. It was pushing through despite it. Together they embraced the quiet, allowing the rhythm of raindrops to fill their hearts with a growing sense of courage. With sleep creeping in, Sarah's last thought was about tomorrow. What would it feel like to stand tall and confront their storm? As the rain fell harder, another truth echoed in Sarah's heart: sometimes, the greatest strength is born from the most distressing storms. But what awaited them at dawn? Would they find clarity, or were they about to be swept into uncharted waters of uncertainty? The first hints of dawn crept into the bus, soft and tentative, like a child peeking into a room full of surprises. Sarah stirred awake, the weight of the night's promise lingering in the damp air. She blinked against the pale light filtering through the curtains, feeling the warmth of Lily's small body pressed against her, a reminder that they were in this together. Outside, the world looked transformed. The rain had washed the colors alive, deep greens glistened, while the gray sky held a strange beauty tinged with hope. The storm had passed, but Sarah could still sense its echoes in her bones, a reminder of all that lay ahead. "Mom!" Lily's voice broke through her thoughts, cheerful and loud. "Look! The clouds look like cotton candy." She pointed excitedly outside. Sarah smiled, forced a bit by the infectious enthusiasm of her daughter. "They really do, sweetheart." As they climbed out of the bus, a cool breeze kissed her cheeks, filling her lungs with fresh air. It felt different today, alive with potential. The broken streetlights, the debris strewn about, signs of the storm's chaos, held a curious charm now, as if nature had cleared a way forward. "Let us go." Lily tugged at her hand, her eyes sparkling with mischief and thrill. Okay, Sarah laughed, letting her daughter lead the way toward the meeting spot in the community park. As they walked, the morning light revealed the scattered paths of fellow travelers, a community bound by shared experiences and, perhaps, shared hopes. Arriving at the park, she found a modest crowd gathering. A mix of familiar faces and newcomers who had sought solace in each other. This was a place where conversation sparked, where ideas could grow like flowers through cracked concrete. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling a flutter of nerves, but also a weight lifting off her shoulders. "Mommy, can I help?" Lily asked, pulling at the hem of Sarah's shirt, her little face alight with eagerness. "Of course. How about we get people ready to share their stories?" They moved around, engaging with neighbors, rekindling spirits. As people began to speak, Sarah listened, astonished by their resolve. Stories poured out, some of struggle, others of triumph. Heartfelt words bridged gaps and built connections. Each tale was a piece of their storm, but it was also a springboard toward hope, painted in vibrant colors that she had almost forgotten existed. "It's okay to be scared," a woman said, her voice steady despite the tremor. "But it's our fears that often ignite the fire within us." Lily clapped her hands together, joy spilling over as if she understood the significance of the moment. Sarah's heart raced, This was exactly what they had hoped for, a space where each voice could shine, where bravery was contagious. As Sarah turned to Lily, she noticed her daughter's face filled with admiration for the speaker. It struck her then, the realization that this was not just their battle. Others felt the same way, shared similar fears, and together they could fuel each other's courage, but just as hope bloomed, so did uncertainty. Would they really unite? Could they rise above their fears together? The community around them pulsated with energy, but deep within Sarah, a question remained: how far could they go, armed only with their stories and unwavering love? With her heart pounding, Sarah looked at Lily. Her daughter winked confidently, as if reading her thoughts. Maybe, just maybe, they were on the brink of something incredible. The moment hung in the air, thick with possibility. Would they embrace this new dawn, or retreat back into uncertainty? Sarah took a breath, ready to step forward but wondering what awaited them on the other side. What if, in the process, they discovered not just their strength, but a community that would rise together? The sun climbed higher, spilling golden light across the park, drenching everything in warmth and promise. Sarah felt the energy around her swell, a tangible pulse of hope as more faces joined their gathering. The crowd grew with each passing moment, hearts merging into a collective rhythm. "Look at everyone, Mommy!" Lily exclaimed, her voice rising with excitement. She tugged at Sarah's hand, pulling her closer to the gathering. "They're all here to share. Isn't it amazing?" "Yes, it really is," Sarah replied, her heart swelling as she absorbed the scene before her. It was like watching a tapestry being woven, threads of individual stories intertwining to create something stronger together. An older man stepped forward, visibly shaking but resolute. He cleared his throat, and the crowd hushed. "I lost everything in that storm," he started, his voice wavering painfully. "But standing here today, I realize I didn't lose it all. I found us community, support." He paused, taking a deep breath. The connections we make can be our lifeblood in times like these. With every story shared, the air became charged with connection, strings of empathy knotting tight around them. Each person facing their fears head-on, bearing their vulnerabilities. It was cathartic, freeing, as if on this patch of grass, they could shed the weights of despair. Sarah glanced at Lily, enthralled. The wonders of this new world were unfolding before her young eyes. She saw her daughter taking it all in, absorbing the strength of those around them. It seemed to ignite something within the little girl, a spark of compassion, a budding understanding of resilience. "You know," Sarah said softly as they stepped back momentarily, "I used to think it was just us against the world. But look at this, Lily. Together. We could never do this alone. Can I tell a story too?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with innocence and determination. "Of course, sweetheart. But you can take your time," Sarah encouraged, feeling a mix of pride and protectiveness. This was a tender moment, a gentle transition from seeing their struggles as solitary to embracing the collective strength they now stood in. As the stories continued, a soft breeze swept through the park, rustling leaves, carrying laughter from a nearby group of children playing tag. The air was filled with healing sounds and shared joys, an audible reminder that life was still vibrant and alive. Suddenly, a woman from the back of the crowd broke through, tears streaming down her face. "I lost my husband last year," she began, her voice sturdy despite her trembling hands. "But in this storm, I found my courage to live again. I'm building a new life for my children and me, and I refuse to let my grief define me." Sarah felt tears prick her own eyes. A tidal wave of emotions washed over her, a mix of sadness and admiration. Here was strength in vulnerability, a testament to the human spirit. The crowd erupted into applause, voices lifting and intertwining, flowing like an orchestra towards the woman's bravery. It was infectious. "Mommy! I want to help her." Lily squealed, already moving to assist the woman, genuine empathy igniting her tiny heart, a ripple of hope finding its way through their shared community. As the day unfolded with more voices rising and mingling, unexpected connections forged deeper bonds. Sarah felt a warmth envelop them, a blanket of unity too beautiful to ignore, but as the air filled with laughter, another storm brewed within Sarah. What would happen when this moment passed? Would they carry this shared courage beyond today? With eyes on her daughter, Sarah's heart raced. They had found a small piece of their collective strength, but just how strong were they together? The challenge of tomorrow loomed large, uncertainties swirling just beneath the surface. Could they truly build something out of the turmoil they emerged from? As the crowd continued to share, Sarah stood at the edge of this blossoming community, hoping they could harness this powerful connection. Yet a question lingered in her mind: would they falter when faced with the trials yet to come, or would they rise, together, against any storm? The sun continued its ascent, casting a warm glow that made the park feel almost magical. As the applause faded, Lily returned to Sarah's side, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Did you see her, Mommy? She was so brave. Can we be brave too?" Sarah smiled down at her daughter, the innocence in those words tugging at her heart. "Absolutely, my love. Brave comes in many forms." Suddenly, the crowd buzzed with renewed energy as another man stepped forward, a tall figure with worn work boots and a cap pulled low over his brow. He hesitated for a moment, casting a glance around the gathering. "I lost my job and my home, but I haven't lost my hope," he began, his voice steady yet full of emotion. "Before this storm, I was just trying to survive. Now, I see a chance to build again. Supporting each other. That's how we'll rise." His words struck a chord with Sarah. It was about more than just rebuilding, it was about realization, the understanding that loss could lead to a stronger foundation if faced together. She felt the lump in her throat, the fight to hold back tears. Lily squeezed her hand tighter, clearly moved. "Mommy, can we do something to help him?" she whispered in a plea born from her young heart. "I think we can. Let us listen a bit more before we jump in," Sarah replied, feeling a mixture of pride and responsibility. She watched as community blossomed. A group of people began to gather around him, not just to listen, but to share ideas, resources, and encouragement. As the man spoke about his dreams of starting a small garden for the neighborhood, more voices chimed in. "We can host a gardening day," someone shouted. "I have seeds," another added cheerfully. Laughter flowed, and the weight of despair felt lighter in the air. With every shared story, each revelation seemed to stitch together a bigger quilt of support. The threads of grief, hope, and kindness weaved into something undeniably powerful. Sarah took a breath, the smell of fresh grass and blooming flowers grounding her. Through heartache, they were crafting something new, something beautiful. But just as hope surged, another ripple of anxiety washed over her. What if this energy and connection were fleeting? The thought clung to her, shadowing the light around them. Could they sustain this, day after day? Lily tugged at Sarah again, her eyes sparkling. "Mommy, can we start our own garden? Just like him?" A soft laugh bubbled up from Sarah, touched by her daughter's enthusiasm. "Yes. I think that's a fantastic idea." They exchanged glances filled with excitement, two hearts connected by renewal. Bold in their plans, the crowd continued talking and planning. Every voice added fuel to the fire of possibility. Sarah felt a warmth blooming in her chest, an ember of determination bubbling just beneath the surface. Together, they were vibrant, alive, and willing to embrace the unknown. Yet, the nagging question lingered: how would they manage the mundane struggles of life amidst the rising tide of hope? That evening, as the sun began to set, painting the sky in deep oranges and soft pinks, Sarah caught sight of the rusted old bus parked at the edge of the park, its faded memories whispering gently of the past. A reminder of the hardships they had faced. She turned back to the crowd, her heart racing. They had shared so much that day, but tomorrow would bring its own set of challenges. Would the strength and support they found today carry them through the storm that lay ahead? Sarah held her daughter close, the sense of unity a warm cocoon around them. But without knowing it, she was stepping into the unknown where true transformation awaited just around the corner. Feeling her pulse quicken and the crisp breeze against her skin, she thought, what happens when they test each other's strength? Will they falter, or will they stand together against whatever fate throws their way? The night loomed ahead, full of promises and uncertainties, and tomorrow's stormy weather felt like a warning. But somehow, amidst the fear, something within her whispered, they would be ready. The next morning dawned with an unexpected chill. Sarah stirred awake in the small bus, her body stiff but her heart alive with the promise of a new day. Glancing out of the foggy window, she began to see shapes of familiar trees silhouetted against the soft gray sky. Today, the park would be buzzing again. "Mommy, wake up. It's gardening day." Lily's voice cut through the stillness, her eyes bright and her excitement infectious. Sarah smiled, her heart swelling at the sight of her daughter still wrapped in her blanket, with her curls tousled and wild. "All right, champ. Let us get moving." The bus felt cramped, but they had made it feel like home. Pictures drawn by Lily lined the walls, showcasing their dreams: beautiful flowers, lush green vegetables, and even a rainbow. Somehow, the tight space was filled with love. After breakfast, they made their way back to the park, where the sun was finally breaking through the clouds. As they approached, Sarah could already see people gathering, friends from the day before, with shovels, seeds, and so much hope. The joy was tangible, and it wrapped around Sarah like a warm blanket. "Let's plant something colorful, Mommy," Lily exclaimed, pointing at a patch of soil that had been designated for the community garden. "I think that's a wonderful idea," Sarah agreed, her worries lightening with each step closer. As they settled into their task, Sarah looked around and felt a sense of camaraderie with the other parents, retirees, and kids who filled the park. Stories began to flow again, people exchanging experiences from the storm. She listened closely, absorbing every word, feeling the energy rise as they shared their dreams for the garden. "Do you know what's powerful about this?" a woman next to Sarah said, laughing as she handed Lily a spade. "Every seed grown is a story of resilience, just like our lives." Sarah felt the weight of those words. Could simple acts like planting seeds truly grow strength? Her heart raced at the thought. As they worked, she began to understand that together, they were not merely trying to create a garden, they were nurturing hope. After hours of planting, laughter, and mud-streaked cheeks, they paused for a break. The community spread out a makeshift picnic. Everyone brought something: baked goods, fruit, and stories, spilling laughter into the air. But just as they began to relax, a dark cloud rolled over the sun. Sarah's chest tightened as she noticed a figure approaching. It was the tall man from the day before, looking more worn than before, shadows lingering under his eyes. He seemed hesitant, almost defeated, as he stepped closer to the group. "Hey everyone," he started, his voice faltering. "I wanted to say thank you, but I also need to confess something." The laughter faded, replaced by an anxious silence. Sarah's stomach dropped. "After losing my job, I've been struggling to keep my family together. I thought this garden would fix everything," but he paused, searching for courage. "I don't know how to ask for help." In that moment, Sarah felt a jolt in her heart. His vulnerability echoed her own fears, the same trap of worry they all faced. Suddenly, Lily stood up, unyielding in her innocence. "We can help. My mommy says when you're together, you can be brave." The crowd melted in warmth as hands began to reach out, voices offered kindness, promises of support mingled with understanding. And Sarah realized, standing there amidst their shared strength, that being brave meant not only fighting through struggles but having the courage to lean on one another. But just when the atmosphere began to spark again, a rumble of thunder broke through. The sky darkened ominously, a reminder that challenges still lay ahead. Sarah held her breath. Would this unity withstand a storm? As drops of rain began to fall, a thought born from the depths of her soul lingered: what if this was only the beginning? What would it take for them to truly flourish through the turmoil? The rain fell lightly at first, but soon grew heavier, soaking the earth as the gathered crowd shifted nervously. Umbrellas opened, laughter fading into concerned murmurs, and Sarah felt her heart begin to race. Just when they had forged a bond, an uninvited storm tried to break them apart. But standing beside Lily, she realized this was not just about weathering one storm, it was about facing all of life's storms together. "Okay, everyone," she called out, her voice rising above the rolling thunder. "Let us not let a little rain stop us. Rain is life. It helps our garden grow." Heads turned, curious and uncertain, but soon the spirit of her words shimmered through. A few brave souls stepped closer, drenching but determined. "Yeah, let us keep going," someone shouted. Lily, holding her small spade tight, grinned up at Sarah. "See, Mommy. We're all in this together." And just like that, Sarah felt that warmth return, an unwavering embrace of community shared in the midst of uncertainty. As the rain splashed around them, laughter bubbled back up. Each person continued working through the mud, planting seeds of resilience despite the storm. As a bond grew more robust in the downpour, they shared stories, encouragement, and even a few playful shoves in the mud. Sarah felt the connection blossoming, it was almost palpable. Everyone wasn't simply planting seeds in the soil, they were sowing roots that would hold their community together through any storm life threw their way. Then, with a mischievous twinkle in her eye, Lily declared, "Let us have a mud fight." Before anyone knew it, giggles echoed through the air, and mud flew. Laughter erupted like a symphony, the tension in the air dissolving into merriment and joy. It was a celebration of what they could create together, of the resilience each had to offer even in the face of uncertainty. As the rain continued to dance down upon them, Sarah's heart swelled. She could see the transformation happening before her, they were stitching their lives together. "This can't last forever," a voice in the back of her head whispered, and she pushed it aside, determined to revel in these moments. Hours passed with laughter and muddy hearts, but slowly the rain began to let up. Eventually, the clouds parted just enough to let sunbeams filter through, illuminating the community park in a golden glow that felt like magic. "Look! The rainbow!" Lily squealed, pointing at the sky. Sarah's eyes followed her daughter's finger, and there it was, a stunning arc of color stretching across the clouds. It was a message of hope, shining brightly even after the storm. Everyone stood together, awed by the beauty above them. A stunning reminder that even the fiercest of storms can bring about brilliant transformations. Sarah smiled, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. They had turned the struggle into something magnificent, finding joy in the challenge, and cultivating not just a garden but a vibrant community. "I think we've planted something amazing today," Sarah said, encouraging faces around her to join in her grace. "Together, we'll grow this garden. Not just with seeds, but with love and strength. We can support one another, share our burdens, and celebrate our victories." A ripple of agreement buzzed among the crowd, nods and smiles blossomed like the flowers they would grow. The community had come together not only to create a garden but to cultivate a space of shared growth and understanding. Time passed, and as the afternoon sun warmed their skin, they continued planting, digging in the earth more fervently than before. Sarah noticed how the conversations deepened, hearts opening as vulnerabilities were shared. The stories flowed and paths of understanding wove through the crowd like the roots they planted in the rich soil. Later, as the sun began to set, the rewards of their collective efforts began to show. The community garden stood alive with promise, rows of planted seeds glimmering in the fading light, each thriving little shoot a testament to hope and connection. In that moment, Sarah recognized something profound. They had transformed together. It wasn't just the rusted bus or the initial struggle that bound them, it was the embracing of every part of their journey, the celebration of their truths. As the last rays of sun vanished, casting shadows over their hard work, Sarah turned to the crowd. "Thank you all for your strength and your stories. Let us keep this going. We've created something beautiful today, and together we can cultivate a future filled with even more." In that crowd, she felt a surge of unity that would carry them through whatever storm lay ahead, knowing they would face it hand in hand. As they began to disperse, Lily slipped her small hand into her mother's and smiled brightly. "See, Mommy. You were brave. And look what we did." Sarah knelt down to meet her daughter's eyes. "Together, we're always brave." Let's keep planting our seeds of love and never forget how to lift each other up. With a heart full of passion and warmth, they walked home towards their rusted bus, their sanctuary of dreams and adventures. This journey had shown them resilience. It had shown them that even life's storms could give birth to the greatest transformations, and as they opened the bus door, laughter trailing behind them, Sarah knew this was only the beginning. Now is the time to take action. You need to subscribe now to catch our exclusive stories as they unfold. Leave a like now to help us spread these important messages. We want to hear your thoughts. Comment with your feelings about this incredible transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to embrace their own storms and discover their strength. Your support means everything to our community.